Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I really got concerned as our leader in this house, the senior most, our leader, the head, while you are making prayers, electricity is on, but on your mic, electricity decided to go. So I was wondering, was it by design or someone was trying to sabotage our speaker, Honorable Speaker? And for that, we need an explanation from whoever is concerned why they should embarrass the head of one arm of government. That was my concern.
Mshomba, and what's yours? Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you know, it is very, very serious when the leader of this house is on the floor executing a very noble duty of praying and bowing to our Lord the Maker. Then electricity just disappears. The electricity mic just disappears. We need a very serious explanation. What is happening? Could somebody be sabotaging your prayer? And we know you are a man of prayer, and that is why we call you Papa Waroma.
Let's end it there. The clerk tells me that the machines have been malfunctioning, and I direct that they get the ICT team to relook at the equipment and ensure that it works. I want to assure you, honorable members, that I didn't feel sabotaged, neither did I feel embarrassed. Thank you. Clerk? Okay, Lonini. We leave it there.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Honorable members, we have 2 petitions, one to be presented by Ken Chonga, another one by the Speaker. Is Ken Chonga in the house? Go ahead and present. Then I will present the one that has come through the Speaker. Then we give members a few minutes to comment if they will be interested. Go ahead.
Thank you, Speaker. I stand to present petition number, not given, of 2023 regarding hardship allowance and affirmative action for teachers in Chonyi Sub-County. I, the undersigned on behalf of teachers in Chonyi Sub-County, Kilifi County, draw the attention of the House the following. 1, that the provisions of Article 27 of the Constitution against inequality and discrimination, teachers working in Chonyi area have endured hardship hurdles since independence. 2, the teachers travel long distances without access to medical services, proper housing, food, and other essential amenities, which are only available in Kilifi town, the headquarters of Kilifi County, which is about 30 kilometers away. Further, even the Teacher Service Commission TSC offices are located in Vipingo area, where a teacher from Chonyi area spends about Kenya shillings 1,000 to access the employer's office. 3, the hardship allowance was introduced as an incentive to teachers and other public officers working in remote areas to compensate for lack of basic amenities such as hospitals, improved infrastructure, harsh climatic conditions, and communication access. 4, that the aforementioned challenges have caused many teachers working in Chonyi area to seek transfer to other areas with better working conditions, leading to insufficient number of teachers in the area. 5, that a countrywide data collection exercise aimed at reviewing hardship areas was led by an interagency committee with representation from different ministries, state agencies, and commissions. The committee concluded its report on the 17th of September 2021 and listed Mbita, Lungalunga, Saba, and Chonyi areas as gazetted as hardship areas to allow for enhanced allowances of public servants, including teachers. 6, that despite the proposal, Chonyi has never been gazetted as a hardship area. In a collective bargaining agreement, CPS signed by TSC and the teachers union, the commission promised to embark on a promotion of teachers serving in arid and semi-arid lands and revealed 18 new hardship areas in 2021-2025 CBA. 7, Kilifi County is an ASAL area, but only had 2 sub-counties of Magarini and Ganze being declared as ASAL, while other sub-counties were left out, including Chonyi. Further, most of the matrices in schools in Kilifi County are in acting capacity, thus lowering their morale. 8, that efforts made to have this matter addressed by TSC have not resulted into any satisfactory response. 9, that the issue in respect in which this petition is raised are not pending in any other court of law or any constitutional or legal body. Therefore, your humble petitioners pray that the National Assembly, through the Public Petitions Committee, 1, engages the TSC to ensure teachers working in Chonyi area are paid hardship allowance. 2, inquire into the matter and recommend that the entire Kilifi County be gazetted as a hardship area, be granted a SAL status as a hard-to-staff area to allow the teachers to benefit from all the affirmative action, promotion, and hardship allowance going forward. And finally, makes any other recommendation or action it deems fit in addressing the plight of the petitioners. And the petitioners will ever pray, presented by me, Honorable Ken Chonga. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chonga. Order. Order, DK, take your seat. Members, take your seat. Take the nearest seat. Honorable members, I have also a petition in the delay in resettlement of squatters in Koibem Village, Jepkumia location, Nandi County. Honorable members, Article 119 of the Constitution accords any person the right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority. Further, Standing Order 2252B requires the Speaker to report to the House any petition other than those presented by a member. In this regard, I wish to report to the House that my office has received a petition from Mrs. Joel Songol, ID number 5277747, and 5 others of Koibem Village, Jepkumia location, Nandi County, representing Koibem Village squatters. Honorable members, the petitioners are raising concerns regarding inordinate delay in the issuance of new title deeds to residents of Koibem Village. The residents were moved in 1996 following excision of 1,170 hectares in Yala block of South Nandi Forest to allow resettlement of 351 people who are to be evacuated from the hilly and rocky Koibem area measuring 989.7 hectares. The petitioners state that until late 1990s, the larger Jepkumia location was surrounded by South Nandi Forest and the vast Kaimosti estates, leaving an entry road near the Yala River through thick and sometimes quite insecure forest with robbers running amok, spreading terror, killing people, and raping women. Koibem village was rocky and hilly and located right by the forest. The petitioners claim that in 1996, the government of Kenya undertook to relocate the people of Koibem village from their original land to a block in South Nandi Forest along the Yala River west of Nandi County in exchange and to convert the gazette the original land vacated by the community into a forest. Honorable members, the petitioners aver that the excision process began with the authority granted by then Minister for Environment and Natural Resources to resettle Koibem people on excise forest land with equal acreage. On 2nd October 2015, hearings on land formalization and regularization were conducted by the National Land Commission and county governments of Nandi. The exercise entailed acceptance of existing developments, securing public utilities, and verifying ownership of land allottees. all persons claiming rights to any parcel presented documents as proof of ownership. During the historical land injustices hearing, number NLC stroke HCLI stroke 435 stroke 2018, undertaken on 25th June 2018, the National Land Commission determined that 1. Kenya Forest Service had authorized an acquisition of 910.6 hectares, which include 186 hectares for public utilities, 266.86 hectares for the Koibem community. The survey had not provided a map for the perimeter of the land excised, and that is why the disgazettement had not been completed. 2. Koibem community's claim was valid and that new title deeds be issued upon handing over the title documents held by the residents of Koibem. 3. Kenya Forest Service to facilitate the degazettement of the excise area from Nandi South Forest to enable issuance of title deeds to Koibem community on land-to-land basis. And 4. The Director of Survey, together with the Nandi County government, to expedite the excising of the forest area that KFS excised from Nandi South Forest and hand over to Koibem community. 9. The petitioners aver that since the concerned residents were moved out of their land and homes 29 years ago, the land they left behind now has a mature dense forest cover. However, most of the original title owners have died due to natural attrition, with many survivors suffering from depression. The lack of titles has exacerbated poverty due to lack of access to credit facilities from banks, inability to sell land, and uncertainty associated with doubtful ownership. The petitioners therefore pray that the National Assembly engages relevant state agencies to ensure that all the squatters are settled. Honorable members, having established that the matter raised in the petition is well within the authority of this House, and further that the matters raised in this petition are not pending before any court of law, constitutional or legal body, I hereby commit the petition to the Public Petitions Committee for consideration pursuant to Standing Order 208A. The committee is required to consider the petition and report its findings to the House and to the petitioner in accordance with Standing Order 2272. I equally commit the petition presented by the Honorable Ken Chonga to the Committee on Public Petitions and to report back within the same 60 days. Thank you. Joses Lelmengit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to highlight an additional dimension on the ongoing petition by Koibem villagers. We have another nearby village adjacent to Koibem called Ngerek, which share the same grievances. The village is close by, and I was asking for a collaboration of these two communities so that the petitions committee can look at this problem as a unified problem. The same issue is needs to be addressed because the same village, the same community within the same villages have a similar issue. So this, I want to request you, Honorable Speaker, to ask the petitions committee to consolidate these two petitions for Ngerek villagers and for Koibem villagers, so that they can have an holistic approach in solving this problem once and for all. I want to agree from the statement that you've just read that the villagers in Mgwen constituency, that is Chepkumia ward, Koibem village and Ngerek villages have had problems since it's almost about 3 decades now, since 1996. And Honorable Speaker, people are living in fear. They stay in that, they can no longer build permanent houses. They don't have a collateral for any taking any facility, loans and for such. So I want to ask this Honorable House, through you, Speaker, so that we can join hands and assist these people from Nandi County to solve this issue once and for all. I want to thank you, Speaker, and I hope that justice will be done. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Lelmengit, and you can take time and attend the committee when they deal with the petition and give your views as well. Melly, Paul.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support
Sorry,
the
I
petition.
call you Paul. You are Julius.
I'm Julius, yes.
Yeah, there was another Paul Melly.
Yes.
that I knew.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the petition, and I want to say this, Honorable Speaker, that the issue affecting the people of Koibem, Ngerek, and Chepkumya in general is a historical issue of injustice and fairness, where the government agencies, more specifically the Land Commission and the Ministry of Lands, has really failed to address the issue of the landless people. The people of Koibem gave out their land. It was very rocky. It was an area where it was not habitable. But when they gave out that land, government officials through Kenya Forest Service went on to actually ask them to move to an excised area out of the Nandi South Forest. When they reach there, they have not issued them with title deeds. And I want to say that, I want to ask through you, Mr. Speaker, that the petition committee visit the site, look at the predicament of these people in Gerek, look at the predicament of the people in Koibem, and actually get first-hand information so that actually this issue is settled once and for all. Two, Nandi County has so many squatters. You know very well that this is a county which was actually had a lot of branch of colonialism. Many people are moved away. In my region of Chemelil, we have thousands of squatters. And as a member of parliament, we've been appealing to the Ministry of Lands, and more specifically the Lands Commission, to ensure that all these people are settled. So I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and as members of parliament, we shall attend the petitions committee, and also we will actually want them to visit and see the people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wangari? Mother Wangari?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm rising to support Honorable Ken Chonga's petition. And Mr. Speaker, you remember recently we committed another one, I think from Nyatike, similar issue. And I think what this demonstrates, the frequency of these issues will keep coming to this parliament and even to last parliament, Mr. Speaker. So I would actually request on this petition, Mr. Speaker, even as it is being considered on its own merit, that the first one, the public petitions churns out, outlines the parameters and outlines the review and who does it, Mr. Speaker. I think that direction is very important so that we don't have the questions going to Ministry of Education, then to TSC, and the same problem persists, Mr. Speaker. And on the second petition, Mr. Speaker, the issue of National Land Commission, and I think this has happened in many other areas apart from Nandi, because in my area in Oljorai, we still have the same questions by what was done by National Land Commission. So I think the issue of visiting is very important, but even as we get the outputs and the reports, Mr. Speaker, that it also has a general bearing on what position it takes when National Land Commission is the one that messes up some of these processes, Mr. Speaker, but I support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Jared Okello? Member for
Nyando.
Nyan.
I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And out of the twin petitions, I would want to delve into Ken Chonga's Kilifi South constituency and support this petition. Honorable Speaker, as my sister, Honorable Wangari, has alluded, last week we discussed a similar matter touching on Nyatike constituency that was brought forth by their Member of Parliament, Honorable Tom Odege. Honorable Speaker, there is a likelihood that in the days to come, we may receive a litany of such petitions going forward. And therefore, even as the public petitions sit down to retreat and do a report on these petitions, as members of parliament and as our speaker, Honorable Speaker, we need a remedy. As I did say, Honorable Speaker, my two neighboring constituencies, Nyakach constituency and Muhoroni constituency are benefiting out of the hardship allowance. Yet, when we talk about real hardship, Honorable Speaker, and even the prevailing floods cutting across our nation at the moment, Nyando seems to be domiciling the floods, Honorable Speaker. Yet, it was carved out of that scheme, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, no public officer wants to serve in a place where there is no hardship allowance, yet in the neighboring constituency, under the same topography and climatic conditions, people are benefiting, Honorable Speaker. If it is 10,000 shillings over and above their pay, Honorable Speaker, as a parliament, we may have to reconsider this and have 10,000 cutting across all public servants across the entire republic, Honorable Speaker, so that we don't have to have this back and forth requests coming before this parliament each and every time, Honorable Speaker. I have lost this year alone more than 200 teachers going to other constituencies without replacement. And this is a travesty. It is a tragedy that my people of Nyando are experiencing. And we disenfranchise at the end of the day these students who go to these schools, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
And therefore, we must comprehensively look at this matter. And I thank you for the opportunity, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Aldai. Give her the mic. There you are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the petition that has been that you have read today on the resettlement of the residents of Goibe in Nandi. This particular issue, Mr. Speaker, also affects an area in my constituency, and the Nandi South forest, which is being talked about, is a forest that borders my constituency and the neighboring constituency, that's Mgwen, where these people were resettled. I also have a group of people that were resettled from a forest called Bonjoge Forest and taken to the same Nandi South Forest, an area now called Bonjoge. And at the time of resettling these people, a portion of them were not resettled. So as we speak today, the portion of them who still live in the Bonjoge Forest currently live in the forest or in the demarcated land that is called a forest. So even as this petition goes to the petitions committee, I think it is important that the Ministry of Lands, when finally they implement, realize that they need to implement all the pending relocations that were supposed to have been done for the people, and especially for these people who are supposed to come to Nandi South Forest, because a small portion of these people who live in the rocky areas were removed from the Bonjoge Forest and taken now to the Nandi South Forest, but their portion of land has never been allocated to them. So as this petition is looked at, I would appreciate that if they can widen and ask the Ministry of Lands to fully implement all the relocations that had been done or that had been requested. And as you can see, and as you can hear from all members here, Mr. Speaker, is that we have so many such petitions on land matters, especially for relocation of people, which are still pending within the Ministry of Lands. We wish that the Ministry of Lands can also amalgamate all the pending resettlements and do one resettlement. Where my headquarters is, for example, in Kobujoy, is actually land that was that was excised from the forest land, the Nandi South forest land. But up to today, Mr. Speaker, that land has never been degazetted and actually given to the various ministries that are occupying that particular land. It's all government entities. So even as we do this, we also help or wish that the Ministry of Lands, together with Ministry of Forestry, fast tracks the proper excisement of the land that was being excised and the relocation of these people who are living in the forest. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Cases.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for this moment also to weigh in on the issue majorly touching on education sector. Mr. Speaker, the hardship allowance and how it has been administered for quite some time I would dare say it is so selective, in that you'll find some areas with extreme hands in the same locality, but with different geographical treatment. A case in hand is in Keses constituency. We have two locations, that is Timboroa location, Olenguse location, and Ndungulu location. These are the areas with extreme weather conditions. Majorly is Timboroa location, that the cold situation is on the higher side. The survival of teachers who are posted on that area is at risk. And the other day, when reversing of the delocalization had been undertaken, the schools around that area, as we talk now, have suffered much. Teachers have had to move back to where they came from, and now the number of staff that are teaching the children around that area has been reduced. Schools now are suffering, and all the reason around this one is the weather conditions is not humane enough for these particular teachers who are brought up from different warm areas. And I dare say that we need to have a clear definition of the word hardship, because some points hardship is regarding the terrains, looking at the aspect of arid areas, but there are some hands that it's not arid, but the situation is dire. And therefore, I would want to call upon the Ministry of Education and Commission TSC to reconsider and look at teachers. We have a scenario where Tinderet constituency is enjoying the hardship allowance, being an hardship area. Neighboring location of Timborwa on the same border are not enjoying this one. And therefore it is suffering. So teachers are moving from one hand to the other hand. So the students, the pupils, the learners around that area are not given fair treatment like the pupils from the other area. So Mr. Speaker, I want to call upon
The
this.
point of order, yes, Omboko Milemba.
Very rare, Honorable Speaker, and not with any prejudice. But 2-3 days ago, we were doing the budget here, and most of these honorable members were in the house. And I pleaded with them, we pleaded with them, that these teachers are spread all over your constituencies, and that all this will come back to you. Because even if we speak about Teacher Service Commission, the budget was here recently, and we pleaded with you to increase that budget so that those teachers would get those house allowances and even the hardship allowances, including confirming the PNP. Honorable Speaker, members were not serious on that. So it really is in the house here. This is where the rubber meets the road. We have to allocate. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Keses MP, I think you are done. Okay, give him the mic. You are giving the mic to somebody behind him.
Thank you so much. Mr. Speaker, it's good to remind my senior, policy dictates the budget direction. So when we sort out the policy issues on aspect of hardship allowance, then it will inform the budget direction. So I want to submit this, Mr. Speaker, with honesty. Let us create fairness in the sector so that the children of Kenya, of the Republic of Kenya, receive its fair treatment in access to education. Thank you so much.
Member for Narok North, Mama Pareo.
Giving me this opportunity to add my voice on this issue on education. Narok North is a constituency that has really been hit by the shortage of teachers. And I remember 3 months ago, before this house, I brought a question that was asking TSC to consider Narok North as a hardship area. And up to today, I have not received any response from TSC, while we have schools that have a population of about 600 pupils with 2 teachers, because the neighboring constituencies are beneficiaries of the hardship allowances. So to me, Mr. Speaker, I would like to know why I have not received any response from TSC, yet with the schools in my constituency are really going under, they are understaffed, and the teachers cannot deliver to the pupils as the way they are supposed to. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Omongina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker,
for giving me this opportunity so that I can also support the petition from Mheshimiwa Chonga. Mr. Speaker, in Kenya we say that education is free to every student. But indeed, this is just a fallacy. Because in some areas where students are supposed to get that free education, there are no teachers. And the reason being that the teachers are always moving away, especially from those hardship areas. So as Parliament, we need to seriously look into what is really happening. Who are these who are demarcating areas which are hardship and areas which are not hardship? And how come that those which are very hardship, teachers who are there are never given hardship allowance? So my point is that we must be appraised that there is no free education in Kenya, because in some areas, our students are not getting that education because of what has been done through not saying exactly where the hardship areas are and what is supposed to be remunerated to those who are teaching there. And so they always move out as they are posted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Elachi, we should wind up on this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also just want to raise my voice, Mr. Speaker, when we are talking of hardships of teachers. I think when you look at Nairobi and you realize a teacher walks into a class and there's 200 seated awaiting one teacher to teach and maybe to teach nearly all subjects, then when it is hardship, then Nairobi takes the bigger chunk of what is called hardship. When you look at rent, when you look at how the teacher right now with fuel cost that is very high, from where the teacher is coming from to the school, I think they are going through a lot. So even as we speak about all this, Mr. Speaker, one of the things we need to ask ourselves as the House, the President added more teachers. We just need to see how they were spread. Let us see how we are balancing now all the counties. Before even we start now talking about that hardship, can we see the numbers across board so that we know which county has the highest teachers of TSC, which county has the highest number of BOM teachers who don't have enough teachers who are under TSC. Then from there, we are able now to ask ourselves, due to this high cost of living, does it mean now all counties are hardship areas so that teachers cannot transfer going all over? That way, Mr. Speaker, we will have helped the country to balance this issue of teachers, knowing very well whether we employ how many, we will still have scarce teachers. But more importantly, as I finalize, Mr. Speaker, the junior secondary school, we need to get it right as we move on together so that we don't go back to the same challenges we are facing. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
The chair of public petitions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would want to speak first as a member of parliament for Kitui East, and maybe say something about as a member of the chair for public petitions committee.
As a member of the public petitions committee, you have no business saying anything here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the guidance.
To you.
Yeah, I would want to go back to my initial assertions as a member of
Speak for your constituents.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, most of these petitions are touching on the lives of common mwananchi, whom we are representing here. These petitions are coming in forms of members bringing the petitions for on behalf of the public, or members of public looking for ways of getting the petitions to your desk, and eventually you give it to us. Mr. Speaker, we have most of them have been worked on. My concern is administrative in this house, Mr. Speaker. As much as we discuss the petitions, there are recommendations on the reports. And some of the reports never manage to get to the floor of the house to be discussed. they go straight to the implementation committee. I don't know whether if the standing orders do not allow for the implementation committee to get time and actually give a review to members on how far they have gone on certain reports and the implementations. I think, Mr. Speaker, you can help us, members as under the country, if through your directive, we can have the implementation committee getting some slot in the hours provided to give a feedback on how far they are gone in terms of following up for implementation of these proposals. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I've heard so many members, and I share the same sentiments. Members, it is the Public Service Commission which has the mandate of declaring a place, whether it can be an hardship area or not, whether it's a municipality and it can benefit from enhanced house allowance or not. But the sector public service boards like the TSC, JSC cannot. It is the preserve of the Public Service Commission that they communicate to the relevant sector service commissions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
In fact, Chairman, what you are complaining about is already authority vested in you and your committee. Because Standing Order 227 2 reads, the Public Petitions Committee may recommend that a report on a petition be considered for debate in the House. So the discretion lies with you. When you have done with the petition, you communicate to the petitioner, you send a copy to the clerk, and if, in your opinion, you believe the matter is sufficiently important to be debated by this House, you recommend so to the clerk. Then it will find its way to the floor for debate. So the authority is vested in your committee. And as I commit these petitions to your committee, the chairman of education, I'm sure you're taking judicial notice of the avalanche of petitions and matters hardship that is within your competence. You would, suo moto, move to deal with this matter even as it's running through the public petitions, because if you listen to the member for Nyando, he replayed exactly what he said last week on another petition, and many other members as well. That should trigger you on your own motion, as you are granted by the standing orders, to engage the TSC, the ministry, on this matter, and bring a report to the House, or do whatever you can to alleviate the complaints that we are getting on a daily basis. Thank you. Yes, Melly? Oh, sorry.
Well guided, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I think the committee has got taste of this matter severally. It affects across the country. But one time when we took it up to Teacher Service Commission, the Teacher Service Commission said that the department that is vested with the power of allocating an area hardship lies in the office of the president. So the Teacher Service Commission are only implementing what the Directorate of Personnel Management has done to them. So I have actually been consulting with my colleague here, Chair Public Petition, and I also guided him actually the right CS to come before this House and to answer this issue is the CS Interior and Coordination of National Government, who will be in a position now to declare several parts of the Republic hardship or not hardship, and circumstances under which every other place are going to be gazetted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We shall actually do as guided.
Thank you. Because the questions, Chairman, being raised by the member for Nyando. Why should Muhoroni be hardship and not Nyando? Why should Nyakachi be hardship and not Nyando? And that's your neighborhood. And you live in that area, you know the difference. Yes. So you should have some rationale in declaring an area hardship. Majority Leader?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, actually, what the Honorable Meli has said is preempted what I wanted to say. I think, Honorable Speaker, we need to call the Minister for Public Service to this House, the new Minister, Moses Kuria, to come and give us a program on how he will actually give us these hardship areas. Apart from teachers, Honorable Speaker, there are many government officers that suffer, police officers that suffer. There are people who work in government ministries that have been posted to these areas, not just teachers. The same way the teachers suffer, the same way the the civil servants also suffer, and even county government officers. So what we need to do is a comprehensive review of the areas that are hardship areas. And I think the new minister has displayed energy on this matter. So I think what we need to do is that you give direction, that he be summoned here so that he can come and give Parliament a program on when and how he will make sure that these areas are declared hardship, so that it is not just an issue of the Ministry of Education. I thank you.
Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge the following in the Speaker's Gallery: Kenyatta University students pursuing political studies from Roysambu in Nairobi. And in the public gallery, Masai Mara University, I believe it's students from Narok North, Narok County. On your behalf and on my own behalf, we welcome them to the House of Parliament. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, before I lay the papers, I'd like to say that, remind members that tomorrow we have a sitting in the morning, being a Thursday. We usually don't have a sitting in the morning, but we will have a sitting as we agreed in the procedural motion for tomorrow, Thursday, and the following Thursday too, and the next Thursday, so that members are prepared. Secondly, if you allow me also to acknowledge my alma mater, Kenyatta University. Students are here. I want to tell them that I was there too, and many other members here.
Majority Leader, I've given you authority to lay papers.
All right, I want to do exactly that. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 22nd November 2023, the afternoon sitting. 1, report of the 16th meeting of the Bureau of East Africa Community Speakers of the National Legislatures and the East African Legislative Assembly held on 16th November 2023 in Juba, South Sudan. 2nd, reports of the Auditor General and the financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2023 and certificates therein in respect of A, Kenya Electricity Generating Company PLC, Global Fund Tuberculosis Project, Ministry of Health, East African Portland Cement PLC, Center of Excellence in Sustainable Agriculture and Agribusiness Management for Egerton University, integrated programs to build resilience to climate change and adaptive capacity of vulnerable communities in Kenya, National Environmental Management Authority, East Africa Skills Transformation and Regional Integration Project, Kenya Coast National Polytechnic, KCNP, Kenya Transport Sector Project, Kenya National Highways Authority, Multinational Arusha Holili Taveta Voi Road Corridor Development Project, the Kenya National Highways Authority, Nuno Modogashe Road Project, and the National Information Platform for Food Security and Nutrition Project, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to lay.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Wamshomba. Eh? Where? Okay. Committee of Implementation. Wanjala.
Yes.
They have listed on the other paper that is Wamshomba to make the statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was also equally wondering.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to reply the statement by the Honorable Gathoni Wamuchomba, MP, on the development of policy on standardization and production of school uniforms in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, the Committee of Implementation is established in consonancy with the National Assembly Standing Order 209. The committee shall scrutinize the resolution of the House, including adopted committee reports, petitions, and the undertakings given by the National Executive, and examine whether or not such decisions and undertakings have been implemented, and where implemented, the extent to which they have been implemented, and whether such National Assembly standing orders implementation has taken place within the minimum time necessary, and whether or not legislation passed by the House has been operationalized, and where operationalized, the extent to which such operationalization has taken place within the minimum time necessary. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 47, the Honorable Gathoni Wamuchomba moved a notice of motion in regards to development of policy on standardization and production of school uniforms. This resulted into a resolution being passed on the 8th March 2023. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member elucidated in her motion that she was concerned about the cost of uniforms, which has continued to escalate, thus becoming prohibitively expensive for the poorest within the community, with some schools demanding that parents pay uniform money to specific school accounts, a move that locks out many children whose parents cannot afford the expensive uniforms as listed by schools. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member on 5th of October 2023 further requested for a statement from the chairperson of the Committee on Implementation regarding the implementation of resolution on standardization and production of school uniforms in the country. Honorable Speaker's Committee of Implementation, as per the dictates of Standing Order 209, the committee summoned the Cabinet Secretary in charge of education, Honorable Ezekiel Machogu, on the 24th October 2023, to follow up on the operationalization of the resolution. He stated that it was during the time of the resolution that His Excellency the President had already constituted the Presidential Working Party on Education Reform, with a wide mandate to review various aspects of Kenya's education system on financing of basic education. The views of stakeholders on school uniform were captured and stated that school uniforms are expensive for parents because school administrations collude with suppliers and force parents to purchase from a specific supplier identified by the school administration. Honorable Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary duly informed the committee that the Working Party recommended that the Ministry of Education should provide guidelines to regulate and liberalize the questions of school uniforms in basic education institutions. The ministry is currently working to implement these recommendations, which will address the concerns that were noted in the resolution by the House. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Education have put measures to further the edicts of Article 53(1)(b), which provides for the right of every child to free and compulsory basic education. Through a circular dated 30th May 2023, which is attached here under reference number MOE/HQS/3/13/3, regional and county directors of education were directed to do as follows: ensure that the stoppage or practices where schools stock uniforms and compel parents to buy them or direct the parents to purchase uniforms from specific dealers and not process the names of non-compliant schools for necessary actions within the provisions of the law. Honorable Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary accentuated the importance of the same by highlighting Regulation 67.3 of the Basic Education Regulations 2015, which stipulates that no institutions shall prescribe a specific supplier of school uniforms or any other materials for the parent or guardian. Honorable Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary also issued a directive in preparation of the Form 1 intake in 2024 to the effect of 1, no school will direct parents to any particular outlet for the purpose of purchasing uniforms, and no school will stock any uniforms and boarding related items whatsoever. And 2, no school will stock any uniforms and boarding related items whatsoever. Honorable Speaker, the letter is attached. Honorable Speaker, as the committee chair of this formidable and high regarded committee, the committee would like to summon those various school heads that have abrogated the stipulated rules by the ministry to serve as an example to the rest. I hereby submit and ask honorable members that this is core to our parents, to our poor parents. You must guard against it, and I table this so that you photocopy and make sure you go and tell our parents not to allow those nonsense to happen again in our country.
Tomba, do you have anything to say? I see you are listed on the order paper erroneously.
Yes, I think listing of my name in the order paper just tells you how many people have fallen in love with me. Mr. Speaker, I want to recognize and acknowledge the statement that has been given by the chairperson in charge of implementation committee, the Honorable Wanjara, who is also my senior and my friend. I appreciate that he has taken time to come up with that very heavy statement. And I also appreciate that he understands that there's a lot of pressure that is coming from our parents who have suffered for a long time in the hands of school administrators, school principals and teachers who dictate where to buy uniform, which uniform, how much to buy, and when to buy, which is against the law, the competition authority laws that govern forces of markets. However, appreciating that the statement has been laid on the table of the House this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, as a parent, I'm still not satisfied. My prayer through this House, Honorable Speaker, please protect me from the members who are ahead of me, in front of me. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, my prayer,
the other one is sitting down. Now you are safe.
My prayer to this House, Mr. Speaker, behind the motion that I tabled and we debated unanimously, was to ask the Ministry of Education to come up with a policy. Instead of them coming up with a policy, which is a binding document that any teacher that contravenes that policy can be taken to the court of law, they have taken a shortcut and they have issued a circular. My question is, that is a very single parent in Budalangi constituency who has been suffering through this exploitation of uniform purchase. Will that parent get to know there is a circular? Mr. Speaker, a circular is a document that is used for internal communication. It is a document that is going to be used by the school administrators and school managers and their administration. But the parents are not aware there is a circular. So come January, the same problem I've been fighting of exploitation will be repeated, Mr. Speaker. So why is the ministry running away from coming up with a policy? A document that can be tabled anywhere and can be used in the court of law should the parents be exploited and feel that their rights have been violated. Mr. Speaker, as a lawmaker, in line with Article 53 of the Kenyan Constitution that provides for the rights.
Wanjala, what are you doing? And even if she was, You have no right to just stand up and pretend that you want to contribute to a matter. Wanjala. You are totally out of order. And she correctly described you as her senior. So you know the rules better, in my estimation. Carry on, Mshomba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for protecting me. Mr. Wanjala should be informed that the woman for the job is on the microphone. Mr. Speaker, as a lawmaker and a representative of the people, it is our duty as lawmakers to defend the Constitution of Kenya on behalf of the children of Kenya who have no voice, but we have a voice, and that is why we are in this house. In line with Article 53, Mr. Speaker, that provides for the right of all children to access free basic education in Kenya and access equality in uniform and be protected from exploitation. As a mover of this motion, I am not satisfied with the response I have received from the Ministry of Education, and I still insist that the prayer that I prayed, supported by this honorable house, be honored and a policy on uniform regulation and standardization be made and put in place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Who do you want to inform?
To inform the chair, Committee on Implementation.
Just make a comment. He's
Chair.
not on the floor. You only inform a member.
Yes.
Who is on the floor.
Most advised chair, Honorable Speaker. Honorable
Yes,
Speaker, I wish to inform Honorable Muchomba that the matter that he has prosecuted this afternoon is a matter that is before court. Honorable Chair, I've heard the chairman on the Committee on Implementation citing circulars by the Ministry of Education purporting to stop head teachers of schools from getting uniforms from suppliers. Honorable Speaker, I wish to inform the House that pursuant to a High Court petition number 5 of 2023 before the High Court of Kenya Chuka, the High Court issued a conservatory order restraining the Ministry of Education from implementing the circular that was issued by the Ministry of Education. So, Mr. Speaker, the matter is active before court, and therefore it is sub judice.
Thank you, Wakili. Yes, Elachi?
Mr. Speaker, while I appreciate that, I don't think the orders were meant for Parliament. And therefore, this is a matter of very, very, very serious public interest, where we are about to have the last 844 joining high school. You can imagine how many children are about to just join school in January. And we are here at Parliament trying to imagine how the high cost of living is, and we are talking about school fees and then uniforms, and we cannot indeed tell parents that they cannot go to any shop they can afford. I think what Parliament is saying is that we want parents to be able to afford so that each child can get a uniform. And therefore, for me, Mr. Speaker, we must ask the chair of implementation that indeed the Ministry of Education must ensure every child has a right to go to school, to afford a school uniform, and therefore we must agree as this House that school uniform must be affordable to all our parents, and my parents who are in the slum areas in Nairobi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair, Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support what the chair implementation has just put it. That school uniform has become so inhibitive to learning, to an extent that schools, principals, and even some in the education sector have formed a cartel system, where at one time they direct parents to specific stores or shops to buy schools where they get their cuts there. Honorable Speaker, a school uniform should not actually stop a child from attending
Chairman,
classes.
that's a very serious allegation against
Yes.
teachers. Do you have evidence?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why I'm talking tough on that, Mr. Speaker, I don't have particular evidence because I have seen where some parents are directed to go to specific areas to go and buy uniform, Mr. Speaker. Why don't you allow the parent to buy any uniform anywhere for his or her child? And two, these uniforms that the parents are actually buying for their children, this is their child. Allow him or her to buy the uniform where he or she likes. And two, these stores that are actually selling this particular uniform have specific price tags. 12,000, 13,000, 2 pairs, 20,000 shillings. That's quite expensive, Mr. Speaker. So actually, let us actually go follow that particular implementation committee report and have parents buy affordable uniform for students. Thank you.
Lillian Kogo.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for this chance. And just as a by the way, probably the chair